I feel very honored and I'm really glad that I have the chance today to meet Father Joe Pereira in Zurich, who by chance is here in Europe. A lot of you might know Iyengaryoga, and I think everyone knows Mother Teresa from India. Some might know Del Mello. Now, what has this to do with Father Joe? Father Joe will tell it in a few minutes. But first of all, I would give you some cornerstones, some information about Father Joe Pereira. It's about 38 years that he founded an NGO, a non-governmental organization in India. It's the biggest one. It's called
Kripa Foundation.
Kripa Foundation. It's the biggest foundation in India which helps people with addiction, HIV, and it came out from the anonymous alcoholics. Kripa Foundation has centers worldwide. So, just a few hours ago, I looked at the schedule of Father Joe, where he's going this year, and in fact, it's all over the world. Mumbai, Brazil, Canada, America. What he experienced has a deep impact on India and of course on your personal journey. And your personal journey began with Mother Teresa. That was one important step in your life. But Father Joe, I'm very much interested in your journey. So what has been these moments which went beyond your understanding, which are difficult to explain, but which brought you in a world where you thought, and I didn't know about it before, but it was life-changing?
Yes, first and foremost, I must say that even our meeting and this program is designed by God's loving providence. Mother Teresa always said, God brings us to where we belong. My journey began in a very small village where I was a young boy witnessing a lot of people in the village afflicted by alcohol. Even my parish priest I saw him as a little boy. I saw that parish priest drunk on the roadside. So this was always in my mind, that why do people become, victims of alcohol? And well, the lady, the maid, the lady who used to literally carry me to school, I used to love to be carried because she used to smell of alcohol. So I used to ask her, Auntie Monica, carry me. She used to reeking of alcohol, and I used to love that. So I thought, I got some feeling that maybe I will also start liking alcohol, and but it was there in my mind. I come from a family where my mother and her side of the family had priests, 3 priests, Jesuit priests, who went into the poorest areas of India, and I was fascinated by their work. I used to look up to them, and so it was like, for me, it was no other profession but service to people. And I joined the priesthood at a very young age. When I was ordained, I was just about 25, 26. Within 4 years, that was the day, that was those times of the Vatican Council. I was ordained in 67. Vatican Council took place from 62 to 67. And everything changed. People started walking around without their priestly robes, and many people sort of left the church, left the priesthood. When I was ordained in 67, by the time 4 years later, by 71, 6 of my companion priests left, got married, and 2 committed suicide. And I was really wondering whether I should leave. And providentially, I met Mother Teresa. I said, Mother, pray over me. She said, I don't pray over priests. But she held my hands and walked me into the chapel. And she was praying with me, but I broke down like a child. And then she said, you are God's anointed. And she put my hands on her head and she asked me to say a prayer. So that was like for me completely a new gift of a life that would change my whole life. And she said, don't leave. Jesus needs you. It may take a long time. It may even take 10 years. Now, why did Mother say 10 years? 1971 this happened. And 1981 I started Kripa. And how did I begin Kripa? I was visiting Mother Teresa's homes, and in Bombay, she was showing me one man who was dying, but she says, you know where he comes from? He was an Air Force pilot, but lost everything because of alcohol. And there are many people here who have lost everything as a result of addiction. We must do something for them. So this religious superior, Sister Cabrini, said, Father Joe, is it okay if we give them a little alcohol so that they don't go out in the night and all? So I said, no, give them to me. And I started Kripa with those 3 people from Ashadan, which was Mother Teresa's home, and I picked up about 7 people from the streets, bad drug addicts, and started Kripa in my church premises. But I had to ask the Cardinal for permission. So when I went to ask permission, the Cardinal said, no. Then I said, Your Eminence, why do we give Mother Teresa the monopoly to pick up people from the streets? Then he said, Joe, that's a very harsh one. Okay, keep them. That's how. Then when Mother Teresa's 3 referrals got well, she was very touched. She said, first time somebody has taken people from here and given them back into society. You come to Calcutta. I went to Calcutta. She gave me her place. We trained the sisters there, and she built a new center for the ladies there. And she inaugurated my Kripa in Calcutta, and then she inaugurated my Kripa in Bombay. So beautiful encounters with Mother, very close encounters, very close sharings. I really feel blessed. And Kripa, for me, was a vocation within the vocation of the priesthood. And I could bring into this work a very extraordinary dimension of India, which is the Indian spirituality of yoga, and that was through my teacher Iyengar. And I was with him. I have been with him for 46 years till he died. I still continue, and perhaps one of the senior most teachers in the world of Iyengaryoga. But he gave me, when we were 25 years old, he came to Bombay to celebrate, and he gave me the title of Kripa Foundation Iyengaryoga, especially to take this teaching of the spirituality of the body to people who are broken up by addiction and HIV/AIDS. So that was for me, Mother Teresa and BKS Iyengar for me are, in Sanskrit, in the body we have Ida, Pingala and Sushumna nadis, these kind of meridians. So I consider the Sushumna, the central nervous system leading to Jesus as my supreme yogi. Because only Jesus could say, the Father and I are one. And that is what yoga is all about. And BKS Iyengar and Mother Teresa, what is the common denominator? Compassion. She taught me to go to the poorest of the poor. And Guruji, I call him Guruji as a endearing term for Guru, BKS Iyengar taught me to go to the poorest of the poor in health. People think that when you are sick, you have to rush to doctors and chemicals and all those kind of things. God has given in this body the wisdom, the wisheit, which Iyengar has taught us how to explore and how to find within us the source of healing, which is the Lord, the divine physician. In Sanskrit, we call this the Antaryamin, inner controller. So when I teach yoga to the whole world, all different religions and everything. But I see them, each one ask them to refer to the God of their understanding, but a personal encounter with God. Because even Krishna told Arjuna that you must meet me as a person. And I believe that meeting took place in Bethlehem when God so loved the world that he gave us his son. And for me, Iyengar and Mother Teresa have helped me to first understand an addict, understand what is this disease. As in my book I have said, it's a spiritually oriented problem. So addiction is a person who's thirsting for God, loving, wanting to fulfill his love, but satanically this love is imploded in all the addictions. So what we do is we reverse. We show the person that deep down he is thirsting for God. Our hearts, said St. Augustine, our hearts are made for you, O Lord, and they are restless till they rest in you. But if you give them dogma, if you give them philosophy, and even all these 12-step program, beautiful with all the teachings of psychology and spirituality and interpersonal relationships, social, but nothing of the body there.
So there's a word given by Iyengar. It is through your body that you realize you are a spark of divinity.
Correct.
So that's somehow it's a crucial part of Iyengaryoga.
Absolutely.
It stands on three: dealing with addiction, with people who have addiction. There's a huge variety of addiction. It's not only alcoholism. It's not only cocaine, heroin, crack. There's, you know it much better than me.
Sex, gambling, pornography, power, shopping, internet, all kinds of things.
So on the one side, there's this search, this longing for connection with God, but if it's not there, the field is open to addiction, so to speak. And if I got it right, these teachings from Iyengar were also somatically working with the body, with the wisdom that in the body there is God and you are part of God. And socially, that means people with addiction are given a feel of connection.
Yeah. Because addiction is the opposite of love. Love, as Martin Buber said, love is an I-thou relationship. Now, we are made for love. And when that does not take place, that I-thou love does not come about, then a person seeks a substitute, which is I-it relationship. So it can be the substance of my choice. It can be any of these behavior choices like sex and money and all those gambling and all that. So the healing of addiction is to get back in the person his original thirst for love.
Oh, I see. You know, Father Joe, you have decades of experience dealing with addicted people, and I'm rather sure that you saw the worst part of the world. Tragedies, murder, suicide, and all these involvements which are due to addiction, you know, this physical breakdown. And I'm even impressed 38 years later, you're still sure about going your way. That means you, in your time, with your experience, you found out that it really works.
Yes, and recently, God, in His loving providence, put in the main film on Iyengar, the man. That film has got Kripa work from the start to the finish. They show a man who had, in his drunkenness, killed his boss. And the whole film brings in this how I just welcomed him. I loved him. And he realized that all this was because of alcohol. And he is a teacher today. He's my staff today. And it was, for me, it was like this film coming out so many years later is only to tell the people that whatever we are gifted with has to be constantly given away to the broken humanity. There are so many people who are doing all this criminal activity coming from a brokenness of their life. So when you heal the person, you heal the planet. And for me, it's an affirmation that Kripa, with the compassion of Mother Teresa, has been working along the lines of the inspiration of both these two people. And for me, I feel their energy. I feel the energy of Iyengar when I'm teaching. I feel the energy of Mother Teresa, especially when I say Mass, when I reach out to difficult cases, I pray to her. I ask her to really help me to find a way out of this. And of course, I am happy to say that this method has probably become the most successful method, because many people try medication, doesn't work. Many people try psychotherapy, doesn't work. Many people switch over onto religion and all this God addiction comes in, you know. But the only method that has worked is a self-help method. And in this self-help method, the only thing that was not present is to get that touch of I-thou relationship with God, and not just God outside or something, but God within you.
I also would like to mention an article which was published in the probably most well-known journal of medicine, the Lancet, where a researcher found out, or just had this statement, that through meditation and through yoga, a person can change from personality A to personality B.
Yes.
So in a way, it's even scientifically proven.
Oh yeah. Today, that was the first kind of recognition of alternative medicine like yoga. First time it was acknowledged in mind-body medicine. But today, these scientists are gone beyond. They are saying that it's not only changing the personality, which we use in addiction recovery, but they are saying something beautiful. They are saying that our bodies and our brain is wired to God. Now, to feel that, you must have what is known as a nitric oxide effect. Now, what is this nitric oxide effect? It is the common factor, common denominator of spontaneous remissions. You know, sometimes you hear that a cancer case has suddenly disappeared. That is spontaneous remissions. How does it take place? What is the common feeling? Deep sense of joy, exhilaration. And isn't it interesting that the founder of yoga, Patanjali, he talks about ultimate healing experienced in the Anandamaya Kosha. Ananda is joy. Now, the second generation World Community for Christian Meditation, Dr. Shanita Nataraja, has titled her book Blissful Brain. So, I feel happy that science today, behavioral science, is saying to us, Iyengar people, that y'all are okay. Y'all are not, y'all are not quacks. Y'all are today acknowledged by. But my biggest joy is that people who were totally anti-God, many people come into addiction treatment, you talk to them about God, they'll run away. I said, no need of, you forget, don't worry. You just admit a higher power. Now I'll tell you where this higher power is. It's not out there, it's inside there. So then I take them from the body into the breath, and then through the breath into the dimension of the transcendent, where your left brain doesn't need to function at all. In fact, you have to stop that functioning, chatter of the brain, and awaken the right brain. What is this right brain? This is a faculty that God has given us, and we call it, scientists call it today, the faith factor. So yoga today is, I think, going to be more and more the cause of bringing the human being to realize that deep down we must celebrate our original blessing. We have talked too much about original sins and sin. We must get back like Zen. We must realize that deep down we are blessed. We are loved. I get up every morning and I thank God that I have woken up to a new day. I am loved into life. This is all the gift of Iyengar and Mother Teresa.
And there was a third one, Del Mello. So, as I said before, I think the whole world knows Mother Teresa. Many people know Iyengar. And I have the feeling not so many know Del Mello. But even so, he's one of my favorite spiritual men. So how did you meet him? Or?
Yeah, he was a Jesuit priest in a parish close to my parish. I was a young priest, just ordained, and I came to Bombay to work in a parish in 1968, and I started having problems. So I knew that this is a very good counselor, priest, who had started this institute of spirituality. So I went to him. And for 3 years I was with him. In a sense, he was my extraordinary counselor. So I told him I'm going through a crisis of faith. not only priesthood, but faith, as I did with Mother Teresa. So he said, "Do you pray?" I said, "Yeah." "How long?" I said, "The usual half an hour meditation." "Oh, that's too little. A priest like you should pray for 2 hours. I said, "Tony, do you realize how busy I am?" He said, "Joe, on the days that you're busy, 2.5 hours. And come to realize I am spending 2.5 hours because I spend 1.5 hour in my yoga practice and morning half an hour, evening half an hour, meditation. Besides that, my mass is there. That's another half an hour. So he made me aware that we should not become busy bodies, but we should be centered. So his first teachings were taken from the Goenka's teachings of Vipassana. Ironically, now I am in a center where I'm teaching yoga, but it was started by Vipassana person Goenka, So we are all, see, God really brings us together. I was blessed to have him as my spiritual guide, and he was wonderful. He's written many books. Unfortunately, when the cautions were given by Vatican, unfortunately, they put him as to be careful. And when Vatican said to be careful, everybody said, "Don't read." That was a sad thing because we missed today, but in a way it had a counter effect. The more the Vatican tried to push his books down, the more they became popular and he's a great master. When he died, the Times of India declared him as a Jesuit priest, more like a Sufi master. But I was fortunate to have him, and that's really it. There's another great personality who influenced my priesthood and my work is the British monk, Benedictine monk, Bede Griffiths. And that man really showed me that that you can understand Jesus better through the Bhagavad Gita. So when I'm teaching yoga, I'm filled with these references of the Bhagavad Gita and the New Testament. And people are wondering, like today I was doing a posture. And I said, "Do you know this posture was named by Patanjali? Psalm 26. They're wondering, looking at me, what is Psalm 20? I said, "There is one thing I ask of the Lord, for this I long, to live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life." I said, "You know what you all are doing? You all are doing what Patanjali first called dwelling in God's presence." Paschimottanasana was known as Brahmacharyasana, walking and dwelling in the presence of Brahma, God, the Father, Mother. So how beautiful this whole thing. For me, I think, sometimes people ask me, my Hindu friends ask me, "Well, you're a Roman Catholic priest?" I said, "No, I'm a Hindu Catholic priest." Yeah, I am fully Indian because Hinduism is a way of life. It's a culture, it's a way of life. Religion, all religions have become, obsolete because the spirit is not there. Yoga, Mother Teresa, Bede Griffiths, Tony DeMello. I have stayed a Catholic priest because these people told me that you don't need to leave the church to reform it. You stay inside and do something different. And I did something different, which today I realize it was God's gift that I could reach out to the suffering people in a very special way where Mother Teresa was struggling and could not do it. In a way, she who loved me made me do it for her. So that way I feel very blessed and I'm happy that I have met you.
Thank you. May I ask one question?
Yeah.
Father Joe, just before I went to you, it came really up into my mind that years ago, 50 years ago, my father died and he had severe problems with alcohol and it nearly destroyed our family. So I found it absolutely interesting that now I'm sitting beside you. You are an expert in addiction, and I can imagine that some people are now listening to this video that they have relatives who have problems with addiction, either alcohol or cocaine, heroin, or whatever. I have no idea. Or perhaps you're personally involved, so perhaps you have addiction problems yourself. And I really would like to use this chance because you're sitting next to me, and I'm absolutely glad about it. It's healing for me, by the way. What would be your words to someone who is now suffering through an addiction, whatever? What would be your recommendations?
Yeah, I will give you a very short answer. If somebody says, I am sick with cancer, would you throw that fellow out of society because he has got cancer? Certainly not. But why do we throw out people who have got addiction problems? That is the first thing that the world has to recognize, that alcoholism is a disease. And therefore, a person who is an alcoholic or addict, he is not bad. He's not mad. He's sick. So once that comes to your notice, you reach out to the sick person. And it needs a very special helping process. What is the fundamental principle? That once you become an addict, stay away from all mind-altering substances. In fact, there is a saying in Alcoholics Anonymous, the self-help program, that the first drink does the damage. And do you know, both these doctors giving their child a sleeping pill, which is a heavily mind-altering substance, the child relapses and goes back to drugs. So this, even in professional world, people are not giving the right response to addiction. And my advice to them is, you have to follow the self-help program. This has been given to us, affirmed by Carl Gustav Jung, the famous psychologist. And today, this movement, this recovery program is available in any town and village, wherever in the world. You have a loved one who's suffering from alcoholism or drug abuse, contact the Alcoholics Anonymous and contact the Narcotics Anonymous. They will take your loved one and show him and her the right path. This is my message to all of you all.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Father Joe. So, finally, I really would like to say to anyone who is interested in the work of Father Joe, the Kripa Foundation in Iyengaryoga, and this beautiful way to find the spark of divinity in yourself. You will find the website. I will write it at the end, and you might get in contact anywhere on the world. You will find him. So, Father Joe, I'm really glad that we had this.
I am very privileged. I'm very happy. Please, wherever you are in the world, if you see a suffering human being, behind that suffering human being, there will be some kind of trauma or hurt. And that will be in some way remotely also connected with lack of love. And that Mother Teresa taught me to give and keep giving till it hurts. And Iyengar taught me that when you reach out to anybody who's hurt, you attend. Attention is love. And so never underestimate the wisdom in your body to find that divinity that ultimately is the divine physician. Even if it is depression coming from addiction or from any other way, please we are created by God to be happy, and so feel the triple joy of Mother Teresa. The joy of living, don't live like a zombie, live a fully alive life, joy of living, the joy of loving. There's so much to give to people, and the joy of serving by caring. What is caring? To suffer with people. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.